Hello, hello. My name's Ariana Akbari. This is my series on how to heal yourself in the environment. I am the founder and executive director of Climate Justice Texas. We are a youth-focused conservation education organization based in East Texas. I also have worked with a range of environmental justice and conservation organizations over the past 5 years, specifically in and around East Texas, because everyone can only do so much, and it was important for me to, work with my community and show how important it is. So that's a bit of a digression, but again, this is my series on how to heal yourself and heal your environment simultaneously. It's for anyone who's interested in joining the environmental movement, like becoming part of it. It's also for anyone who is dealing with like emotional kind of things you want to think about, different ways to approach that. It could be ASMR, like if you're that kind of person. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with that, but yeah, I hope you enjoy listening. You don't really need a purpose to listen. So wherever you are, whoever you are, I want you to know, so happy you're here. I hope you enjoy. And if you don't, keep it to yourself. Just kidding. But also not a little bit. I also wanted to open this video. Oh, sorry. I'm going to talk in this video about concepts of shame and blame shifting, which you will inevitably encounter in your life or in this movement, regrettably. And I'm going to teach you tools of how to use reality and delusion in your favor to navigate that situation. I also wanted to give a shout out to Maggie Hopper. Maggie is a young woman from my community who recently passed away because of a long-term fight with cancer. I think she had a pituitary cancer, like a brain cancer, and then I think it came back as adrenal cancer. I'm not fully sure about that, but I do know that those are both like underfunded cancers, and I know that there are people out there with those same cancers who are fighting those same battles, and my heart goes out to all of you, and especially to the research community that's working on those issues. And the other shout out, this is more goofy, also Maggie, I love you so much, I miss you so much, and I hope that you're doing well wherever you are. Okay, and she was a really wonderful person, and our community is really gonna be sad without her. This is more unserious. I also want to give a shout out to my girl Bernice, who does my eyebrows, because she hasn't been around for weeks, and I am like so hairy right now, and she does such a good job. So like, Bernice, come home. Bernice, I miss you. So that's that. So basically something that I didn't expect that I would encounter in the environmental movement, or like so much in life, I guess, is the prevalence of like shame and blame shifting, especially by people who like have really no business doing that. And so I'm gonna explain this a little bit in two different ways. So firstly, there's this like neurophysical response, right, that people have to external stimuli, and this means that's what they call emotions, right? So like, if something in your world around you happens, like if you lose something, like if you lose someone, like if your house burns down, like in California, right, you're going to feel sad. So, and that's an emotion. Also if like you get something and like something in your life makes you happy, like if there's a laugh or something, like that creates joy, and that's also an emotion, right? But there's one thing that's not a natural internal emotion, and that is shame. And like there are a lot of words for shame in different like studies, like people sometimes differentiate like toxic shame or like normal shame, religious shame, I don't know. There's a lot of different types, and basically I think it's important to note that shame is it's like an external thing. Shame is not an emotion like all of these other things, like happiness, joy, like sadness, anger, right? Shame is something separate. And I think like oftentimes when people feel, there's like this like weird thing where like people will be shamed for something, right? Or they'll like think about shame, and then they'll be carrying shame, and then if you talk to them, they project shame onto you, right? And it's important to be able to not let that shame get to you, you know? Like there are some cases in which shame is appropriate, right? Like if someone's doing something really bad, like maybe, I don't know, maybe it's appropriate to use shame. I'm not like a pro shame person. Like I think that there are other methods to use to like make people do the right thing, or to like, I don't know, something like this. So a lot of shame is just like something that another person is dealing with, because like people in their external world put that on them, right? So it's really like nothing to do with you if you feel shame. There's also this concept of like blame shifting, which is rooted in shame. So like if someone was responsible for something and they like failed at their job, essentially, it's very likely because, or if they failed at their job because like they felt powerless or like whatever reason, it's very likely that they might project that blame that they feel towards themselves onto like the person that they were supposed to protect in the first place. So for example, I recently met a young woman who said that she had gotten her phone stolen at a club, and then she said she had talked to the security officer, and the security officer said, you shouldn't have had your phone out. Right? And that's like a case of blame shifting, right? Like the truth is the security officer is hired to protect this woman and her like belongings, right? And even further than that, like we shouldn't live in a society where people think it's okay to steal a young woman's belongings. So it's important in that situation to recognize like, you know, she was wronged, right? And the shame is not hers. Like it's not her fault. She like just had her phone out, right? And someone stole it. It's the fault of whoever stole it, the society that sanctioned them stealing it, and also the security guard for not catching it, right? So I think like the most helpful way to deal with shame and like these things like blame shifting is to first recognize the reality. Like you have to identify like, okay, like what are the physical players in this world? Like what is actually happening? Let's say like someone's just like said, you're a horrible person and you're the reason this project failed, right? Okay, so you need to recognize, without telling you like where exactly these things failed, like no constructive feedback, no general feedback, right? Just like blame. And then you have to be like, okay, well, because first of all, you're probably gonna be hurt. You're gonna be like, well, why, you know? And from there, you need to like recognize the reality, like find some emotional subjectivity objectivity, and recognize the reality, right? And to say like, oh, you know, like this wasn't all my fault, right? You know, this person messed up here, and this person messed up here, and this person messed up here. And like all of these people could do something a little bit differently that wouldn't have led to this outcome, right? And that's why I also say like, part of this is about like dispelling illusion or dispelling delusion, right? There's a lot of delusion right now in this world for whatever reason. People aren't really rooted in. Anyway, I'll get to that. But you have to like not play to delusion. Don't play to the imaginary world that people are like individually projecting or living in. You have to play to the reality, right? Address the reality of the situation. And to do this, you have to use critical thinking skills. And critical thinking skills are so important. It like teaches you not to take things at face value. It teaches you to like use your brain to figure out like what is the reality. And that's how you yeah, so I hope that helped a little bit. There's definitely more to talk about this. And like I'm sure other people have done a better job of doing this, but I'm encountering this a lot in the environmental movement. I think because like people feel a lot of shame for whenever they fail, like whenever they can't get through an environmental initiative. And then it's very easy to like scapegoat that blame onto like usually a younger person or like a person who seems like less, either more threatening or less threatening. I don't know. There's a lot of scapegoating and blame in the environmental movement. And something that's really helped me has been, you know, addressing the reality of the situation and not letting other people's delusion and shame get to me. Yeah, so that's my episode on shame and blame shifting and how to recognize reality and dispel illusions. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, also I have a Ko-fi. Coffee? I don't know, but you can buy me a coffee now in my link, which is really fun. So bye. See you very soon because I'm going to make a video right after this because I want to finish this series. Thanks so much.